charisma to make it work. He's a great talent, and a lot of people want to see him work with New Japan, which, I wouldn't mind seeing him be a part of the Super Juniors or something like that. Buddy is probably one of those people that I can see him working in NWA. I can see him working in AEW. I can see him working in Impact. I can see him working in Ring of Honor. He pretty much has the choice in whether or not they want to pick him up. It's hard to decide, from my perspective, where I think he'd be better suited, just because I kind of feel like Buddy Murphy's more of a chameleon. I'm not saying that the other guys aren't, but I think those specific guys in those specific places probably benefit the most. In this case, I think what's going to come down to is who wants to offer Buddy the money and where he wants to go work, because I think he kind of has it where he can work out well for anyone that decides to pick him up. There is a couple of people I'm going to skip over, like a Santana Garrett. I barely seen their work, so I can't really offer an opinion. Velveteen Dream would work in Impact the best. He was a very character style wrestler, and I think his over the top style would definitely work better in Impact than it would in the other places. And I think he'll draw attention to it. I'm not sure if it's going to be great attention, but he'll draw attention based on going the Impact. It's whether or not he can keep his nose clean. And I'm really hoping, for the sake of him and anyone attached to him, I'm hoping that the rumors that came out from the whole Speak Out movement was, as WWE determined to not have any validity towards it, ends up being true. You don't want to see anyone make that kind of mistake. You don't want anyone to really be negatively impacted by the actions of others. Like in that scenario, I definitely feel for the victim. But if it ended up being kind of blowing out of proportion, and he was in the right and things like that, I hope he can continue to build upon who he was and go from there. Jasmine Duke is one of those, or Jessamine Duke. That's a weird looking name. Jessamine Duke. Again, them and Vanessa Bourne and Skylar Story, Ezra Judge. Unfortunately, I do not know them. Do not know their work. Can't really speak on them. Alexander Wolf said he's going back to Germany. If he wanted to come back and work with the U.S., I would put him with Impact and Violent by Design. I think that would probably work out well for him, to put him with Eric Young, who was part of his stable Sanity over in WWE. I think that familiarity would help him. And, Violent by Design is a really, really interesting group. They got Joe Doring, they have Cody Deaner, and they have the only one I don't really like in there is Rhino. But they have Rhino, and it's becoming one of the more top stables in Impact. And I'm totally digging what they got going on with them. Daniel Kavita Devi or Kavita Dalal, I'm sorry, I don't know that name as well. Daniel Bryan is one of those where I do think he's going to probably go back to the WWE. I think he's going to pursue options where WWE will let him work with other companies, whether or not that be a very, very short list. As much as I would like to see him somewhere else, like an AEW or an Impact, I really don't see it happening. He's tied to WWE executives via Brie Bella. I think Brie Bella's father-in-law is John Laurinaitis, and John Laurinaitis is, I'm fairly certain he's part of talent relations. So I kind of don't see him going anywhere. Plus, at this point, Daniel Bryan stuck it out for several years. I don't think he's going anywhere now. If it was, honestly, my choice would probably be AEW. And yes, they have a lot of old WWE talent, but the way that they're using them is in the proper direction. WWE is giving a rub, if you will, to WWE. Matt Hardy is giving a rub to Private Party by being their leader, their coach, and whatnot. Not really beating a ton of talent to be able to make himself look better and hold the title, so WCW 2.0 doesn't apply there. Christian just put over Jungle Boy. And you have Jericho that built stars around him with the inner circle, and he built MJF to be a very strong heel leader by losing to him and things like that. So they're doing things right. So if Daniel Bryan comes in and wins matches here and there, but mainly loses them, that'd be using him properly. I do think a lot of people can benefit with him working with him, whether it be in AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, or any other. It's just Daniel Bryan is like Buddy Murphy, where he's probably holding the key to his own destiny at this point. And I think there's so many different variables where it can go. If I was to put him in a storyline with AEW, I would probably start off with Cody, let him beat Cody, so Cody could take time off for the birth of his child. But then enter into a feud. I mean, honestly, I would like to see him work with Lance Archer. I would like to see him work with... I actually think a match with Sammy would be good. Same with Darby Allin. There's a lot of people I'd like to see him with. Sammy, Darby Allin. Not necessarily a private party because they're more of a tag team. Maybe Brian Cage. Maybe even Pac. Working with Pac would be nice. Even though they have more of a history from WWE, I think that would be nice. And honestly, having a duel between Hands in the Pockets and the Yes Chance between him and Orange Cassidy, I think there's a lot there. So, if you go to Impact, I think matches with Eddie Edwards would be great. Sami Callihan, Moose, Trey Miguel, TJP, Rohit Raju, Jason. I keep calling him Jason Alexander, Josh Alexander, all those. So, and I'm sorry, I'm not very familiar with Ring of Honor talent or MLW or any of those. But there's a lot that would be very, very interesting. And having Daniel Bryan even do an Iron Man match like with Josh Alexander, like TJP did, it would be amazing. Samoa Joe, I would like to see him in AEW and Impact. Impact mainly for his history there. I think he would serve. He's one of those where if they did Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe a commentary for a secondary show, I think it'd be the most entertaining thing that they got there. On the flip, and if he wrestle matches here and there, even better. On the flip side, AEW again, he could be on the commentary table. I think that would benefit them as well. I think his ability to whether or not be a mouthpiece for somebody that doesn't really have the capability on the mic, or even like working matches here and there, I think that would work out as well. Joe knows how to put over young talent and make them look really, really good. So I can see that working out for both companies. Samoa Joe is one of those. There's a lot of these that I don't understand why WWE cut, because they have so much potential there. And Samoa Joe is one of them. Even though he's been in the game for a while and does have injuries, there is potential for him to be able to get stuff done. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, I've already stated, I believe that they fit best with AEW. I don't think that they would. I mean, they would be people there with Impact and many others, but I think for someone, a company that needs people to build the company around when it comes to like women's division, I think they're better off suited for AEW. Chelsea Green, more than likely going back to Impact. She did very well there as Laurel Vaness. Laurel Vaness, a hot mess. And honestly, Matt Cardona has a lot of work that he's been doing with Impact, so I think that it fits best for her. Not to say that she wouldn't do well in AEW, because you most certainly would. But I think based on her history and based on what they have as a women's division, probably Impact. Now, if she wants to go to AEW and help build that up, I'm all for it. I think WWE messed up with her as well, cutting her. Tucker, I mainly know him from Heavy Machinery, so I really don't have an opinion on him as an singles wrestler. So I wish there's more I could say about Tucker, but there just isn't. I wasn't disappointed by him in the ring. I just really, I didn't have a strong enough opinion based on not seeing enough of his work. I didn't really watch Heavy Machinery in NXT. I saw him when they got called up to the main roster. I thought them as a tag team with, I forgot who Tucker's partner was. I'm blanking on his name, but he does the Caterpillar. I thought they were a good tag team. I wouldn't have split them up if I was WWE, but WWE seems to have a real big problem with tag teams. They like breaking them up for nearly no reason, i.e. the Iconics, i.e. Heavy Machinery, and many others. Then you got Kalisto. Kalisto, if I was to pick, I would put him with AEW. I know I'm leaning a lot with AEW, but it's more or less, I think Kalisto working with Death Triangle, and working with a lot of their cruiserweights, if you want to call them that, would be fun to watch. Impact is another one. Honestly, Kalisto could probably fit in many places. And I think with his momentum, his ability, and honestly, I know a lot of people draw unfair connections between him and Rey Mysterio, but his ability, his in-ring ability, his character, whole thing, it can work in either companies that are available to him. I do think he'll probably end up more working with AAA, and that's not a problem. But that's where I think he'll go. I do see him working in AEW. I do see him working in MLW. I do see him working in Impact, Ring of Honor, what have you. There's a few of these guys that kind of, I think, fit the bill for everybody. I believe Bo Dallas was looking to get out of wrestling, and I don't blame him. Do kind of like Ted DiBiase. But if not, Impact, I think Impact would probably be best. Not saying he couldn't work in the ring. I don't know. I just feel like he would be a good Impact character. Kind of like Eli Drake way. Not necessarily being that cocky heel that Eli Drake was, and he carried over to the WWE as LA Knight. But I do think that would work. I think him being cocky and a heel would work in Impact. Wesley Blake, unfortunately, besides his work with the Forgotten Sons, I don't know much about him. Same thing with Steve Cutler. Mojo Rawley, man, I really don't have an opinion on him. I know he is decent in the ring. I know he could probably pull off a lot of things. Honestly, maybe him versus Moose would probably be a very entertaining match. But beyond that, I really don't have any place I could see putting him. He might work in NWA, working a couple matches against Nick Aldis and a few other people. But besides, saying, oh, this match might be good, that match might be good, I don't know where he would fit in and whether or not any of those companies want him. I really do hope AEW doesn't want him, because I it's weird because I don't think he would fit in AEW. AEW I kind of look at like an ECW, where some people might work, but others just wouldn't very well. Lars Sullivan, I don't see him going anywhere. And I think he actually retired from the wrestling business, if I remember correctly. But Lars just had too much negative heat on him to really carry off to a company, and company feel very happy about picking him up. It sucks for him because I don't want to see anyone lose their job, but he kind of, with the stuff he was doing online and the other stuff he had on his record before he got to WWE, it just was not going to go places very far. And it sucks for him. I really wish him the best, but because of that and because of all the negative attention he drew to himself, it just was not going to work. I hope he finds happiness. I hope he finds what he wants out of everything, but I just don't know if any company would want to touch him. And that sucks for him. And I'm sorry for that. But it is what it is. I really wish there was more positivity I could say about him. One of the things I forgot to talk about prior to when this recording was done is that Lio Rush has announced that he's going to be retiring from the world of professional wrestling. Apparently he got hurt in his debut match with AEW in the Casino Battle Royal, and it sucks because I was very excited to see what he could do in AEW. He is a smaller guy, and AEW has a couple smaller guys like a Marco Stunt, a Jungle Boy, and a few others. Just Lio Rush brings that very off the wall quickness and agility to his matches, and it was one of those where I know his character work was there, and I know he was doing stuff in New Japan after being cut by WWE, but ultimately after getting hurt he reassessed and decided it just wasn't for him. And as a father, I can completely understand. There's certain things you kind of think about of, well, is this exactly as important as I want to make it out to be? and is as important as what I have, what I come home to. So, as much as a fan, I would love to see him. I gotta respect the decision. I would probably do something similar as a dad.